Hi, everybody. Welcome to Dan on Sports. I hope you enjoyed the Super Bowl. I am putting this video together before Super Bowl 60. I did predict the Seattle Seahawks would defeat the New England Patriots. We have a lot to talk about coming up on Dan on Sports this week, including the fact Major League Baseball spring training camps get underway. And this might be the last spring training we enjoy for a while when you consider the labor situation in regards to the contract which expires between the owners and the Players Association on December 1st of this year. But I'm reading more and more stories about Tarik Skubal and his arbitration award of $32 million. And there's a lot taking place behind the scenes, which leads me to believe there is going to be labor strife, and the owners are going to demand a salary cap, because you read various stories about Skubal, and you've got some reporters out there who vouch for these stories and vouch for the reporters who are reporting what happened. And you get the idea that both sides are going to get dug in here, and it might be a long while before we enjoy baseball spring training again after 2026. What am I talking about? Well, by all accounts, and I've read several, there was no way the Detroit Tigers are going to offer Tarik Skubal a contract that would satisfy his agent, Scott Boras, unless it was $32 million. So the Tigers are getting criticized for offering $19 million in the arbitration. And remember, Skubal is a two-time defending Cy Young Award winner. He's coming off of his second consecutive Cy Young Award. And I was reading, and these reports have been verified by numerous legitimate sources, that didn't matter if the Tigers offered $19 million or $30 million, which obviously would have been an offer that was more than fair. The bottom line is Skubal's agent, Scott Boras, who I believe is ruining baseball, Skubal's agent wanted $32 million and not a penny less. Now you read the other side, where Major League Baseball was sending officials in on the negotiations with the Tigers saying, don't offer more than $19 million. And you've got that side being verified, that Major League Baseball is actually going to these teams and saying, low ball. If $19 million can be a low ball offer, low ball these players with your offers. So there's a war going on. It's going to involve a salary cap. It's going to involve arbitration, maybe even getting eliminated. I mean, what's the point of arbitration? At this point, if you're the Tigers and you legitimately wanted to sit down and, let's say, offer Skubal more than $19 million. Let's say you wanted to offer him $26 million, or you wanted to offer him $28 million. Wasn't going to matter. Scott Boras let it be known he was not going to negotiate a contract for 1 year. This was for 1 year. We're not talking about a long-term contract. Scott Boras was not going to negotiate a contract for 2026 with the Tigers. He wanted arbitration. He wanted that $32 million and wasn't going to settle for a penny less. He looks at it as a test case so that these players can get even more money. Listen, I don't fault the players for what they make, but the game is on the verge of ruin. The game is on the verge of not knowing what their revenue streams are going to be like once a lot of these regional television deals expire and they have to go to a subscription service. A lot of these fans are going to say, we're not going to pay a subscription service. We've already got cable bills, or if you cut the cord, you still aren't going to pay some of the prices that they want. Fans are going to stop going to the games. Baseball is going to be in trouble. That's why I can understand why the owners want a salary cap. Look it, you don't hear basketball players being underpaid. You don't hear about NHL players being underpaid. You don't hear about NFL players being underpaid, and they all have a salary cap. But when you read, and I understand why the salary cap is a holy grail to the players, and we've been through this before on this channel and in this newsletter. I understand all of that, but I'm sorry. When you've got Scott Boras out there telling Skubal, no contract, we're going to arbitration, you're going to be a test case. And in the end, Skubal gets the $32 million. Good for him. And Good for Boris. He wins another case. Bad for baseball. Enjoy spring training, which starts this week, because we might not have spring training again for a long time. That's going to do it for Dan on Sports. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and thanks for subscribing to the newsletter. See you later.